Hey guys, Brad from Team Crimson here. Today bringing you a discussion video ranking Cardfight Vanguard G Seasons. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while, but I wanted to wait until GZ was over, completely done, because I knew how I felt about the season, but I wanted to wait for the finale, because the finale can make or break the anime, so it can make or break the entire season, the entire anime almost. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and rank them. There's 5 seasons of Vanguard G, and I'll say on a whole, I actually quite enjoyed G. It had severe ups and severe downs, but overall, I did enjoy G. I thought the 3 main characters, and it took a while. It took a long time, I thought, but I did enjoy Chrono as a main character, or as a character. I think he actually is a really good and very interesting character. The problem with Chrono is he's not a good main character. I quite liked Xion sometimes. He was quite boring. Ya boring. Xion, ya boring. But and other times he became interesting, then he became boring again. And then Tokuha started off strong, had strong points, and just became kind of a weak character overall. And I liked Ibuki. I liked a lot of a decent amount of the characters, and I liked that this series focused on character beats. I thought the series overall was very character driven, as opposed to Vanguard driven, which in a Vanguard anime you could argue is bad. Okay, so anyways, so let's go ahead and rank the 5 seasons, starting with number 5, the worst of the worst, and that is Z. Z was bad. Z was really bad. So let's go over. I want to go over a couple of the talking points real quick first. The bad, the ugly. Started off with Chrono being taken, which was an interesting concept, except for they already did that. They did that with Aichi missing in Legion Mate season, which is arguably also a terrible season. So it just, the whole thing just felt like Legion Mate, and you don't want to redo your worst season. And in addition to that, Chrono wasn't he was taken, but he was taken for a very short time, so it just felt like they're throwing stuff out there, and they're like, let's, we changed our mind. That's not going to work. So it just felt weird. Next were bad was the Apostles. The Apostles were not threatening. You didn't care about. You kind of didn't care about them. Like, I don't feel like I'm the only one. I know there's a lot of other people that are like that. I know there's some people that do. But the Apostles just weren't very threatening. They'd show up, and the fights were always choreographed the same. The Apostle would stride first, and they would always stride into the Xerox Dragon's second stride, and they'd win. And it becomes really boring. Next to that, the Xerox Dragons themselves, especially in the anime, but kind of blending over a little bit into real life, the Xerox Dragons are just gimmicky. They're kind of lame. They're just there to be somewhat flashy. And I further prove this point too, kind of with them having to reboot. They made them so powerful, yet odd and gimmicky at the same time, that they're having to reboot the whole damn thing. And then finally is the finale was just garbage. Not only did I think the episode before that, showing the fights with Gize, was just absolutely terrible and boring. But then they went into a finale which was character driven, which I was actually very curious about and very interested in. And I thought they were going to go for. I was actually surprised. I thought they were going to go for a really interesting ending there, with Chrono possibly going into space, and then they're like, "Oh no, that's a dream. Just screw it. That's a dream. Never mind." So that was just it was bad. The good, Kainaichi and Q4 came back. That's it. Number 4. Season 1 would just call Vanguard G, I guess. So the bad. Lots of setup. Lots and lots and lots of setup. With little to no payoff. Pretty much all I'm saying with that is they introduced characters, they didn't went through all that, and then they introduce the idea of quests, and they go through all that. They introduce the idea of going into the tournament, and they go through some of that. And then the final episode are the couple of episodes of fighting with the bad guy of the season was just kind of lame and boring at the same time too. So next is the beginning part, pretty much intro to what seemingly was an endless amount of characters. So instead of what regular Vanguard did, they introduced you to a small core of characters, and they made them kind of interesting and showed you the differences between those characters and everything like that, and showed you a lot about them. And then they kind of went with an outer circle of a couple more characters, and they would explain some of those characters while still focusing on that main core group of characters. And then they would introduce a couple more. They would keep expanding, you could say, the mythology of Vanguard, while keeping centered around those core group of characters. Vanguard G did not really do that. They did stay on Chrono, but they introduced you to Chrono and kind of just were like, here you go. Shion, Tokuha, New Kamui, a lot of the people at the shop, they introduced you to just what seemed like an endless amount of characters. I believe Jaime was in there, Ibuki, just so many characters that it just felt like they were, here's a character, here's a character, here's a character. Do you like them? Here's a bunch more characters. Here's a bunch more characters. Do you like them? That's just what it felt like. And then finally, for the bad for this season was Kanzaki. Kanzaki is just, I know some of you out there probably do quite enjoy Kanzaki. That's fine. He's just not good. And for those of you who, me saying Kanzaki and you don't remember and don't know who he is, you're not alone. Kanzaki was the Shadow Paladin user who played Orgeyser, and he was just a terrible bad guy. He would just yell at the top of his lungs, and was a villain for the sake of being a villain. He's one of those. I'm very into movies, by the way. I'm a movie buff. Kanzaki is just one of those characters that he's a villain for the sake of being a villain, and you all know that a villain for the sake of being a villain is not interesting. There is one good thing about this season, and that was Ibuki and Chrono at the end fighting. That was very a character-driven fight, and it was very well done. I think it was a very well choreographed fight as well. Moving on to number 3. Number 3 is Stridegate. I actually only have one thing bad on this season, and that was that it did have those insane highs and really low dips, and really insane highs and low dips, and it kept doing that quite a bit. The good, however, Ryuzu. Ryuzu felt threatening, almost from the very beginning. Almost creepy in a sense. But I loved his. You never rooting for Ryuzu. actively rooting against him, but you kind of understood some of his motivations, and eventually when they do explain a lot of it, you kind of understand it. At the same time, he just comes off as immature at the same time. But I gotta say too, one of the best episodes of that season was the collapse of the Dragon Empire branch. That was not only insanely surprising, but it set up the rest of the season, and raised the stakes for the rest of the season, I thought, because it showed you how destructive the ZTB stuff was, or bringing them to Earth, or whatever, however they did it. So yeah, I thought Stridegate was pretty good. Stridegate I'd put there obviously right in the middle, and saying that was one of the actual good ones. Number 2 is Gears Crisis. I don't really have anything bad to talk about Gears Crisis. I quite enjoyed Gears Crisis. In the good column I wrote, it felt very focused, how unlike G did. Gears Crisis was the second season, but it felt very focused. They were concentrating on the Generation Master stuff, and how they were going to try to attain that. And I liked a lot of the quests and stuff that were involved with that. Not only that, they also they added back in some of the older characters. We got to see Kai again, we got to see Ren, we got to see Leon, I believe, and Miwa. So we got and we got to see Misaki again. So that's always a welcome addition when we get to see the characters that we love. And then I thought some of the Ace stuff was odd, especially her motivations. However, it made Xion a very interesting character, especially in that season. It showed him being vulnerable, which they hadn't really done before. And it showed him wanting to strive towards this goal of not only becoming a Generation Master, but also wanting to beat Ace. So I found that very interesting. And then number 1, he probably already figured it out. Number 1, the best one of all of G, and again in my opinion, is Next. Next just absolutely fired on all cylinders for me. Next was absolutely amazing. Not only did it separate it, you spent a lot of this time of G bringing the team together, of Tri-3 and them growing together, but then you separate it. And Tokoha is doing very well for herself. Xion's doing very well for himself for the most part. And then it goes to Chrono. And it made Chrono very interesting, relatable for me, in a sense. He wasn't doing as well without his friends and stuff like that. So he found himself in a situation where he was having to put together a new team, and that was with Tayo and Kazuma. So, and leading into that, the new characters, Kazuma worked really well. His whole character-driven arc, pretty much, of trying to get over this feeling of he's not worthy enough, felt really awesome. I thought that was very well done. And then Hayo, who was a part of Xion's team, played Narukami and stuff. He had a very good, you could actually even argue, the best character arc of that season. Even though he wasn't in it as much, but when he was in it, it felt very good. And then, of course, Kazumi Animaro was very, very threatening, and I felt he was one of the most threatening villains Vanguard has ever had. So, not only was there this air of mystery to him, but there was an air of mystery to what he was trying to do and what he was trying to accomplish. You knew about the diff rider. You eventually knew that he was diff-ridden, stuff like that. But you're wondering. There's an air of mystery throughout most of that season of what it is he's trying to do and what it is he's trying to accomplish, and I really appreciated that. And then, so Team Diff Riders too, they all felt threatening. All of them felt threatening, maybe minus the Verno. She wasn't too threatening. And then also Kazumi's amazing skill that we were all wondering for the longest time, Domination. Not only was Domination, we find out in the episode, and we're all scared out of our minds, it's super threatening. But in reality, in the game, when it debuted, we were all worried about it. And it was threatening there for a while, kind of lost it for a little bit, and then once the new support just came out, it became insanely threatening. Domination still is one of the best decks right now. Also, Aichi came back this season. A lot of people, I think, wanted it earlier to happen, a lot earlier than it happened. But when he came back, it was really nice to see that, and I think a lot of people just loved that. Also, one of the great parts too about this season was the final battle of Team Striders versus Team Diff Riders. I felt it was very intense, and I did feel there was a lot of people online too making comments of, oh, everyone's going to lose, and it's going to be Chrono versus everyone, and Chrono's going to have to defeat everyone, which you could see them doing. But I thought they handled it really well. You actually, especially the earlier fights, you're watching those and you're all like, I don't know who's going to win. So I thought that was very compelling in that you knew Team Striders was going to win in the end. However, like I said, the first two fights you felt like, who will win this? And then I'd also argue the brothers battle, Kazumi Onimaru versus Kazuma, was one of the best, if not the best, fight in all of G, in my opinion. Not only was the fight well choreographed, I thought, except for that last little part of Kazuma being an idiot and putting everything on Drag Strider. But there was a lot of emotion to it, as well as these two kind of butted heads. And you really felt for both characters, and especially the trapped inside his own body, Kazumi. So I thought that worked. But yeah, so that's my opinion, guys. Next, I thought was the best. Next, I actually rank as my second favorite season of Vanguard overall. Number one is Link Joker. I don't think anything's going to beat Link Joker for a while. But yeah, that's it. That's it for ranking the Vanguard G Seasons. We'll be back tomorrow, actually, bringing some more videos and stuff for you guys. And I'm also considering doing some more anime reviews, especially when the new anime comes out. So if you'd like to hear that, please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment if you enjoyed this. Please leave your opinion. What's your opinion on all of G? Did you like G at all? And what was your favorite season of G? I'd like to hear from you. So, yep, that's it, and I will see you later.